Our next seminar is That's a Wrap, Wedding MBA Takeaways While You Are at the Casino. John Goolsby is the owner of GodfatherFilms. He has filmed over 2,500 weddings and was voted one of the top 25 event filmmakers in the world.
His book, The Business of Wedding and Special Event Videography, received 4 stars from Videomaker magazine and was Book of the Month in Popular Photography. John is a Wedding Video Hall of Fame inductee and is the California State Coordinator for the Association of Bridal Consultants. Please welcome the godfather of the wedding business, Mr. John Goolsby.
Good morning, Wedding MBA 2014. How you doing?
We are live at Wedding MBA 2014. We just saw Mark McIntosh kick off. Great seminar. So excited about the next 3 days. Hope you are too.
This is unbelievable. There are 2,000 wedding professionals in this room that woke up this morning and wanted to grow and build and be the best that they could possibly be.
I always enjoy the Wedding Wire guys. They're always very entertaining.
If you wouldn't mind, would you go take the DeLorean and hop into the future a little bit? So I can take your DeLorean into the future. Yeah, that's great. You break it, you buy it.
My gift to you is I will not dance. How many people like wedding professionals that are talented, successful, and good looking?
The Wedding MBA is about how you can earn more money while you help brides and grooms to plan their whole wedding experience.
Put a different way, it's how you can make one of their happiest days become one of your most profitable days.
I'm going to definitely try to get out there more as far as like not just Facebook, but social media, because that is definitely the way to go.
We are WMBAs, and it means we are wedding marketing badasses.
And nobody else can take it away.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for spending time with us this morning.
The most interesting thing for me at the Wedding MBA that I've learned so far is about the rapid change of technology.
Basically what I've learned so far is to improve my social media standing.
6% of the people love their phones more than they love sex. I don't know about you, but I think they must have some really good phones.
I have a very simple philosophy for life and business. It's served me well in both. I'd rather be happy and successful than right.
What a fabulous event. Am I the only one who thinks this, or was this absolutely incredible? Here's the challenge. I've been to dozens of conventions. I take pages of notes. I have all these things I'm going to do and change my business, and I'll look at those notes 6 months later and realize I haven't done one thing. I don't want that to happen anymore, and I don't want that to happen for you. There's been so much useful information. It's just so much. By occupation, I'm a professional storyteller. I produce films, and I meet with corporate clients. They want to put so much information into the message that we bury the client and they don't even remember anything. So what my team has done is they've been working since we've got here, going through the footage and pulled out things that we think you should definitely do, that you should definitely remember. So if you haven't seen this or you haven't taken notes yet, this is the time to do it. How many people have been in business longer than 5 years? How many people hate raising hands at conventions? Okay. I've been in business 29 years. So back in 2006, my businesses did over $1 million in sales. And in 2007, they didn't slow down. Business didn't slow down, it rolled over and died. And it wasn't just me, it was a lot of us. And it was a time where you really had to be good at business to survive. Being marginal with marketing skills just wouldn't cut it. We all saw venues, we all saw other wedding professionals go out of business. Mark told us how to avoid that.
If your bridal show booth looks like a 5th grade science fair project, you might be a wedding professional. If you preach the pitfalls of DIY to every bride you see, but then turn around and design your own logo, design your own website, your own brochures and ads, you might be a wedding professional. If your excuse for poor marketing is, my work speaks for itself, and if you only advertise on Facebook, Thumbtack, Craigslist, and other places that don't cost you any money, and then you wonder why all the brides who call you don't have any money, you might be a wedding professional. You all know of businesses that don't do all that great of a job, but they still seem to be doing a whole lot of weddings. Why is that? It's because they have mastered marketing. If you can combine first-rate service and first-rate marketing, you will be untouchable. It's what every one of you will be on Thursday afternoon, which is a wedding marketing badass.
I've done over 200 seminars in my career, and a lot of times I'll talk about what we need to learn, and I'll talk about social media. And there are so many aspects of social media, and it's growing so fast. And I'll run into people that'll say, you know, I'm just so busy, I don't have time to learn all that. And my response is, don't worry, you will. Well, I filmed my first wedding in 1986, and it was for a friend of the family. And I put it together, edited it with a couple of VHS VCRs. I took it down to their house. I played it in their living room because they didn't own a VCR. I had to loan them one. They watched it. They liked it so much, they cried. And the dad says, John, you're really good at this. You should do this for a living. And I said, oh, I could never take money for this. A lot of us get into the business for the love of it. We love the excitement. We believe in what marriage stands for. We like the adrenaline rush of working on a one-take environment, a live event. But as Carly told us, the love of it just won't sustain you.
The changing mindset of our customers. Let's get inside the mind of the millennial couple. Millennials or anyone born after 1980, think Princess Di. That was the dawning of the millennial generation. There's 86 million of them, but of course, every year, there's only 4 million of them that matter to you. But these are going to be your customers for the next 10 years. They're going to change. Don't worry. I'll keep doing research. I'll tell you what's changing about them. Millennials care who you are and why you do what you do. So share your why. First of all, know your why. I know that there's no one in this room who actually got into the wedding industry just for the money. They got into it because they thought it was like a really great thing to be involved in, that it was fun, that it was good to be a part of the happiest day of people's lives. You have to work hard. You guys get up every day and put everything you have into what you do, making a great product and making a business for yourself and, you know, feeding your family and being good at it and moving into the future. They want a face and they want a name and they want a mission and they want to know that you're in this for the right reasons. It's a shout out loud statement, and have fun with it, because that's, you know, got to be a part of this game. And by the way, don't call it Instagram with anyone under 30. It's Insta. Just so you know. You don't, the gram. I mean, I've been translating for you guys, calling it Instagram, but it's an Insta.
When I was 16 years old, I went and got a job in the supermarket. And I tried to get a job in the supermarket. I went and asked the manager, hey, can I get a job as bagging groceries? No, we don't need anybody. I went back a week later, asked him again. No, we still don't need anybody. I went back the third week. No, we don't need anybody. I went in the fourth week with my mother. I'm one of 7 kids. She shops at the supermarket at least once a week, sometimes more than that, and she buys a lot of food for a family of 9. And you might be surprised, but my mother was actually really good looking. So I'm standing there with a good looking customer. The manager comes over. He's probably going to be friendly to her. And he's talking to her, and he sees me standing next to her, and he remembers, oh, that's the guy that came in looking for work. And he goes, oh, is this your mother? Yeah, it is. Oh, then you probably know the store very well. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Can you start Monday? Life lesson number 1. It's who you know. It's who you know that can open doors you can't open yourself. So I show up for work, first day of the job, he hands me a mop and tells me to go mop the produce aisle. And I'm over mopping the produce aisle, and he comes over and he says, "You're doing it wrong." And I looked at him, I'm mopping wrong? And then he showed me how to use the clean bucket, how to use the dirty bucket, how to put the pressure, how to get the maximum force out of the swing. I go, oh my gosh, I'm mopping wrong. There's a science to everything. And you know, all of us do one aspect of the wedding business, but there's a science to every single wedding professional that's there. And one day I'm bagging the groceries and I look up and it's the Disney science guy, Professor Julius Sumner Miller, who was really famous when I was a kid. He was like the Einstein type on TV, brilliant, but could explain things. And he's sitting there, he's standing there, and I go, "Hey, Professor Miller, I'm so thrilled to meet you. I've seen you on TV and all that." And he goes, yeah. And then the cashier says, "Okay, that'll be $8.42. He reaches in his pocket, he pulls out all the money he has, he lays it on the counter and looks at the cashier. He couldn't count money. And that was life lesson number 3. Nobody's the whole package. And what Tammy was so brilliant in doing is talking about the importance of the finances. But if you can't do it, don't be afraid to get somebody to teach you or get somebody to do it for you. It's really that important.
You need to have a good relationship, a solid relationship with your financials. You need to know what's coming in and what's going out and how it's coming in and how it's going out and how you're spending your funds so that you can make the best decisions possible for your business. So if you want to go beyond and get into the work styles of the rich and richer, you've got to learn to make the best decisions possible. And in order to do that, you have to have the right information. You use the information that you have to create the best budgets, to know what your break-even analysis is, to know your contribution margins when you've got multiple revenue streams, so that you can put your valuable time and money in the right places so that you can build your businesses. Because that's what you're all here for. That's why you come to the Wedding MBA. Are you having fun yet? Woo! All right, financials, right? Okay. Every now and then I'll just do a dance to make sure you're all doing all right.
So when I was 22 years old, I was the manager of a supermarket and the most profitable store on the West Coast for Safeway stores. And I remember I used to tell my employees, sales is just ego. That's all ego. It's really the bottom line that's what's important. I was fortunate enough, well, myself and my son, we were elected to top 25 in the world of event filmmakers. And I used to have a retreat at my home every year, and I'd invite all 25, and we'd spend 3 days at my house just sharing and opening up and all that. And you know, artists, we're all kind of full of ourselves. And one's bragging about celebrities, and one's bragging about how much he got paid on this job and where we've been. And we're having fun bragging about ourselves. And this one really smart filmmaker in the group says, it doesn't matter what you make, it matters what you keep. And you can't do that without strong financials and strong financial skills. How can the Wedding Wire guys be so smart and know so much? And one thing that I've learned in my business is that it used to be that if a bride, a girl who's engaged, goes to her friend's wedding and she sees, oh, great flowers and a great venue and a great band and DJ and all that, she would say, oh, maybe I'll use that service. Today's bride doesn't want her wedding to be anything like her friend's wedding. There's no way she's getting married at the same venue or having the same florist. And she's going to use the internet to empower herself to find her own service. If she doesn't find you online, she doesn't find you. And so what I like to say is that we no longer find customers, they find us.
Oh, great Scott, wrong button. All right, let me start by setting the date. September 16th, 2014 at 11:02 a.m.
Tim, why don't you ever ask for directions?
We gotta be close by.
It's so easy to ask for directions.
We just needed to make a left right here.
And we should
hello,
be
Wedding
somewhere...
MBA.
Oh, whoa.
Doc Tim, you made it.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. I always like this saying, which is, in the old world, pioneers get shot, settlers get rich, right? The settler is the one that gets the land, gets married, has kids, has a happy life. The pioneer got shot. In today's world, pioneers are the ones that reap the rewards. Settlers are the ones that get left in the dust of the DeLorean. The point being that a lot of this is evolving. I realize that technology is moving faster and faster, but we need to make sure that we're embracing different things, because if we are those pioneers, we will always be sure to succeed.
So what if you know everything there is to know about your business today? Change is so fast, you won't know what's happening tomorrow. That's why these events and other events we go to are just so important. Alan Berg, really good friend. I'm on the back cover of his book. I've been to so many of his seminars. And one of the things that he talked about reminded me of the principles of supply and demand. Anybody who took business management in college, your supply is fixed for most of us. We can only do so many events a year. So you want your demand to be higher than your supply. You want more people want to hire you than jobs you can do. And what that allows you to do is raise your price. If that demand falls, you have to lower your price to keep busy. People don't like to be sold to, but we like to buy. When we go on the car lot, we just dread it when the salesmen come running at us. But when we drive that car away, we feel pretty good about it.
So let's talk about the right way to deal with another issue: price objections, price inquiries. I'm always surprised when people tell me that they just get mad when someone just emails them and says, "How much do you charge?" You guys ever get one of those? If you know it's going to happen and you get mad, whose fault is that? Yours. Yours, not theirs. So learn how to deal with it, expect it. Be surprised when somebody emails you and say, "I'd like to make an appointment." Whoa, wow, isn't that a good one? But don't fault people for asking you for a better price. You don't have to give them one. If you get them excited about hiring you, they can't get you anywhere else. Don't get them excited about the equipment. Don't get them excited about the details. Get them excited about you providing that service, and they can't get you anywhere else. I just had a conversation with someone, and she said, "I have this bride who I didn't think was crazy." I was wrong. You ever have one of those? Yeah. See, the thing is, you have to learn when to fire the client. You have to learn when it's not worth the aggravation, right? That's emotional, though, because you want the business. You don't want to throw the money away. You're looking at the dollars. Sanity, dollars. Sanity, dollars. Right. Now, I realize if you're not in business that long, it's hard to say no to a customer. It's hard to say no to business. I get that. We've all been there. As a matter of fact, if you've been in business less than a year, you should take every customer that comes along, because you'll learn. Right? How will you know not to take a certain customer until you've taken them and you've been like, "Oh, I don't want that again"?
Experience is a slow and expensive teacher. 1990. That's me and my son. Stand up, Mini-Me. So, he wasn't doing jobs on his own at 9 years old. But in his teens, 20, he was. And I would ask him at the end of the day, "So how did the job go?" And he would say, "Well, Dad, today I got experience." And so I thought of that when Alan said, "Take every job you can the first year." Not that you really like every job, but you'll learn so much. How many people drive a car? I know you do. I'm just trying to get you moving. So you hit an intersection several times a week, several times a day. And there are times when you're entitled to the right-of-way of that intersection, but somebody's not yielding to you. If you insist on the right-of-way every time you're entitled, what's going to happen? You're going to crash and burn. There are just sometimes you need to yield just for your own benefit. Married men, if you're having a discussion with your wife, it turns into an argument, and you're right, you still lose. Lynette, oh my gosh, is she fun to watch. No wonder she had her own TV show.
If you think you are fabulous at what you do, stand up. Some of you are sitting, and I don't understand that equation. And if you think you are just damn skippy good at what you do, keep standing. Yeah, there you go. Give yourselves a hand because somebody's waving their hand back there like this. And now you can sit down. That right there is the key to doing something successful, to selling yourself, to getting the business. You must believe that you are simply fabulous. And it is not being conceited, it's not being arrogant. It is what it is. Simple as that. Now, of course, there's levels of fabulosity, and I'm okay with that. So you know who your biggest cheerleader is? You. Because the problem is, right now in the business, is everybody's doing this. You're looking over your shoulders at everybody else, and there's all this opportunity in front of you, but you don't see it because you're back here. And you do know people can sense that, right? If you're not confident, people sense it. It's like Alan said, it's like sharks in blood. They can see it, and they can smell it. Fear is very palatable. But fear can be an awesome motivator, too. Absolutely, positively. So I've always told, even the consultants who work for me, I was like, when you go into a meeting, this is how you go in. And I want all of y'all to use this. You go in like it's yours. Period, flat out. And unless they come crazy, that's how you run the meeting. That's it. You belong to me. It's that simple.
How much is a wedding planner worth? I'm not giving you more details, so I don't know. So you're arbitrarily going to pick a number based on experience. But how much is Lynette worth? How much is a photographer worth? How much is a artist photographer, a celebrity photographer worth? You are always worth more than the service you provide. Selling yourself, you're always worth more than just the products or the services. I see photographers in their ads, how many 8x10s, how many albums? I would rather you sell the artistry of it. And something else, attitudes are contagious. I was filming a wedding, this was years ago, I'm up in the church, I've got these old 3/4-inch top loaders, they're 100-pound recording decks. And as the candle lighters start walking down the aisle, the deck jams. It just freezes. It won't go forward or back, it won't eject, it won't do anything. I come running down the stairs, I see the wedding planner, I casually walk over. I could use a few minutes if you could stall. I'll see what I can do. I calmly walk around the corner, run to my car, get my backup deck out of the trunk, run back to the lobby of the church, casually walk by. Oh, I see the procession starting. That's really nice. Okay. Run up the stairs, get it plugged in, get it going, and I caught just the tail end of the candle lighting. The tragic part for me is they had flown in a friend from Texas to California to sing during the candle lighting. All I got was the last 15 seconds of her song. But I had brought a CD earlier to the sound man and asked him to record for me just as a backup. I was able to take that recording of the CD, put highlights of the whole day to it, and end with the 15 seconds of her live on camera. The bride didn't know about those problems, but she called me telling me that was her favorite part of the whole wedding movie. Never let them see you sweat and walk through your mind of what you'll do when things do go wrong. So we learned that there are more cell phones in the world than toothbrushes. I don't even want to know. Okay. And that's how people communicate. That's how they function. That's how they do business. We need to be experts at communicating to the smartphones. And you're not born knowing this. And smartphones aren't that old. They've only been around a few years. So how do we learn it? We listen to Sonny.
The Mobile 5 are 5 things about you that we need to mobilize. The first one is yourself. And what I simply mean by that is that we need to make sure that you have good mobile technology. If your phone looks like this currently, this cannot be how you do business today. You are connected to your phone more so than anything else in the world. Number 2 is mobilizing your website. The problem is if you haven't optimized your site for mobile, if someone wants to visit your business, they want to see you, they type in your website address, and they visit your site, but you have a bad mobile experience, there's an 80% chance that they're going to leave your site. So you're saying goodbye to 80% of the people that want to see you if they're coming from a mobile device and they have a bad experience. So number 3 in the Mobile 5 is mobilizing your emails. And we send about 90 million emails a year, 90 million. roughly about 70% of them are opened on a phone. So if I'm not making sure that my emails look great on an iPhone and an Android and a BlackBerry or whatever they're opening on, it's not going to resonate. We have made sure that every email we send is mobile optimized to make sure that I not only get the opens, I get the clicks and the actions that I want. Fourth is mobilizing payments. And that simply means that if I'm going to give you a credit card for a deposit, you should be able to swipe that and take it right now. And finally, in the Mobile 5, it's about mobilizing your clients. So the majority of your clients are going to be at your meetings with their smartphone, likely texting while they're meeting with you. They probably are calling you less. They probably want to text you more often. But ultimately, we need to make sure that we can communicate with them the way that they are used to. And that's why we talk about the evolution of how consumers converse.
So I remember watching cartoons and movies when I was a kid, and somebody would challenge somebody to a fight, and they go, "I'll fight you with one hand behind my back." And that's what I'm thinking is going to happen if you don't follow Sonny's advice. If you don't mobilize and communicate with our current client base, it's just like fighting with one hand behind your back. We don't need to do that. Rob came on board, and when I was listening to his program, I was thinking, you know, since the beginning of time, people take things from other people. Sometimes out of necessity, sometimes because they think they're entitled, sometimes because they're just bad people, but they do. Sometimes they use attorneys to make it happen.
This presentation is kind of like CNC Music Factory. It's just some things to make you go, and maybe take with you back to your place, right? Let's talk about insurance. All right, you know what I mean? Insurance is another type of armor that we can use as wedding professionals to protect our business. So business insurance basically comes in two forms. The first form is commercial liability insurance. This is the type of insurance that would protect the wedding MBA from when Peter comes out here and hurls heavy objects at the crowd. It protects your company and your employees when negligence occurs. The second type of insurance for businesses is literally business insurance that's going to protect your stuff. In terms of commercial liability insurance, okay? Generally, under the law, under a concept called respondent superior, a company is responsible for the torts, the negligent acts of its employees, okay? So when you're at Walmart, if the associate comes out and drops something on your foot or accidentally hurts you in some way, respondent superior is going to allow you to name Walmart, the employer of the associate that hurt you, as a defendant in a case to compensate you for your bodily injuries, all right? And that's when the commercial liability insurance would kick in.
My observation is that people in the wedding business are the most dedicated, hardest working, loyal to their clients, put in the longest days, and sometimes we acquire some things, like maybe a home, a car. We shouldn't lose it all to one client. One bad client shouldn't be able to take it all from us. That's the importance of insurance. Listening to Chris talk, for those of you who don't know, I'm the state manager for the Association of Bridal Consultants for California, Nevada, and Hawaii. I've also been in business 29 years. I've filmed over 3,000 weddings, and I've done over 200 seminars. I talk to a lot of people on the phone all day, every day. I'm not going to call anybody out, but as a whole, people are not good at talking on the phone. Their sentence structure, their way they interact, the way they don't listen. I could be better. We could all be better. But it is a crucial part of closing the sale. And Chris just gave us so much good advice on phone skills. I really think it should be a required course in high school.
Because we've got this new technology, old business models will fail, old business systems are going to fail, old marketing techniques are not going to work anymore. I firmly believe for 95% of the people in the room, the rule should be until the time you have the visit, you only sell the visit. How many of you have ever got a phone call from a bride who calls you on the phone and you ding-a-ling-a-ling, hey, Chris's flowers. And the very first question is, I'm getting married the second Saturday in June, and I want to know how much wedding flowers are, right? Everybody wants to know how much. Now, I can talk to her on the phone for an hour and a half and give her all my information, but that doesn't really help me. What do I need to do? I need to get her face to face. So there's certain things you can say to make that happen. You know, one of the best responses I've ever heard to that, by the way, of how much is it on the phone, is let me ask you a couple of questions so I can get you the best possible price. Then you ask her a couple of questions, when's your wedding, how big's your whatever, and then you come right back with, well, we specialize in one-on-one personal attention with every bride we deal with. In order to do that, I need to find out what your dream is for your wedding, and we can't do it on the phone. What's the best time to get together, mornings or afternoons? It's really, really simple. Your Facebook post leads to your website, which leads to a registration or encourages them to call. You have to do it in your email, you have to do it in your Facebook, you have to do it in your tweets, you have to do it in Pinterest. Everything has to lead back to you, preferably so they talk to you, but at least so they register. It's really important. When you post stuff and there's no way for them to contact you other than click on your website and then maybe chase you down, you're going to get a lot fewer people doing it than if you have a systemized system in place, a systematic system in place, that when they get in this track and they get it, then they offered registration and then they move forward. You have to sell the visit.
We've all been to websites where you just can't find the phone number. You just can't find it. Let's not be that company. How many people remember when they first started taking credit cards in their business? Do you remember your average sale going up instantly? It's just a fact. If people are using plastic money, they will spend more. It's the same thing for that face-to-face meeting. I love it when they book me online or book me over the phone. I don't have to spend all that time in consultation and all that. But I also know that if I can do a face-to-face meeting, my average ticket is going to go up. I have more opportunities to customize what I provide them once I get to know more about their story. I have more opportunities to have add-on sales. I just booked a job in Wales for 4 days by that. The bride had booked me over the phone. We're months out. She says, I just want to have a meeting. We meet at a hotel lobby. She tells me that she's going to Wales to meet her husband's family for the first time. And I told her we need to film that. And he loved the idea. A week later, I'm in Wales filming this great adventure. There's something that high-end photographers, high-end florists, and high-end event planners all have in common. They get published in publications and blogs and websites and magazines. How do you do that? Well, thank goodness Rebecca and Siri told us exactly how to do it.
Why do you want to get published? Well, the exciting thing about this industry is it is on fire. Literally, when you think about publishing, and it's really a remarkable story. In 2003, there were about 73 different wedding-related publications in the United States, and today there's over 700. I mean, it's almost a tenfold increase in just a handful of years, and that's really an indicator of just how strong this industry is. 70% of our couples use Real Weddings to select their photographer. So they look at it in a couple different ways. First, they look at the photos to make sure that they've been published. They also found very responsive feedback towards having that little stamp in the bottom of your email as featured in. That boosted credibility as well. And we asked a little bit more about why was it so important for them to be published. And when you think about it, this group that's getting married now in their 20s and early 30s pretty much kind of came of age in the world of social media. It's almost like if it isn't on social media, it didn't happen. And they just catalog everything to the point where you wonder if they're often actually experiencing as much as they are just cataloging it. But the reality is it's incredibly important. So this group is only going to become more and more dependent on this kind of outwardly confirmation that, yes, they are amazing.
I had the privilege to work with Sasha Souza, who's a celebrity wedding planner, and the wedding happened to be at Dick Clark's house in Malibu. Very nice event. And I'm observing a lot. That's what I do. And I noticed that she had brought her own photographer just to shoot the detail shots. He wasn't shooting the other events. There was already another photographer hired. Her personal photographer just to shoot the detail shots. And the decor was fabulous. But I also saw her send one of her people to take all the salt and pepper shakers off the table because they weren't dramatic enough to make the magazine. She knew the publications would not accept the prints if there was a boring salt and pepper shaker, which I imagine most of them are. And then there were some place cards for the table numbers that were not spectacular. She had all those removed. But she was careful where they came so she could put them all back. But she is she's an excellent event planner, but she's also excellent at getting published and getting the high-end events. People have to know you're fabulous. It's great that you know it and your friends know it, but the clients need to know it. Gosh, I can't say any better than Sarah did. It's just really hard to compete with free.
I want to talk today about escaping the price race to the bottom. It used to be in days past, we would all compete with cheap. Someone was doing it for cheap. Someone's always going to do it cheaper. But now we're competing with free. Everybody has a nice digital camera. Everybody has an iTunes playlist. Makes it even more and more difficult to charge what we're worth and be the kind of business that attracts the right kind of buyers. And again, you go back and you think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna discount, I'm gonna get them in that way, and then you know what happens, they're the wrong clients. Instead, when people start asking you about discounts, you can talk to them about a value-added incentive. This is where you give them something additional. So if they go with your biggest package, your biggest collection, whatever it is, they get something additional. And this is where the co-marketing comes in nicely. You can cross-promote. You can figure out what to gift people, but it gives them that incentive. And you're also not losing your margins. Everything I do in my marketing and my business is to hold the margin. So next time people ask about a discount, talk to them and say, and this is what I say, you know what, I've never discounted and I haven't in my business, but if you do this, look what you can get. Because when we discount, I mean, if you look at your net profit margin, 2, 10, 15%, 20%, so if you're given half off, you're not making money. You can't stay in business that way.
For those who don't know, I owned a wedding dress store for 5 years, from 2002 to 2007. I bought it because it was next to my event planning showroom. I kept it for 5 years, and then I sold it for 6.5 times what I paid for it. But a very, very tough business. I had little sayings along the wall that were kind of romantic or fun, and one of the sayings said, Daddy called. He said, buy whatever makes you happy. When we were negotiating with a bride or doing the sale on the wedding gown, there was a different psychology depending on who was paying for the gown. If she was paying for the gown, she was all about price. What can I get? What can I get thrown in? But if dad was paying for the dress or mom was paying for the dress, it was completely different. What could I get that my dad's not gonna buy me? So just as we sold the store, I had plans to put in tanning booths, and we were gonna do free tanning for all brides if she bought the dress. I know dad wasn't gonna pay for it, but she would want it. Just the psychology of marketing to people and how to price. Charles, if they cry, they buy.
Here's what you and I have encountered and been exposed to as it relates to a sales process, our sales approach. I'm gonna learn a little bit about you, if I'm the salesperson, a little bit about you, and then a whole bunch about me and my product and why it's so great, and features. And then we spend a majority of our time trying to convince and persuade somebody or being convinced how or why we should buy, closing, right? There is a language of needs. There is specific things that we can listen for, specific words, specific phrases that we call needs language. And the businesses and the salespeople that do this best are the ones that not only sell more, but they have the greatest brands. They have the greatest image, and they make the most money. Remember, even if you get to the functional needs, you're ahead of most of your competitors. But if you get to the emotional needs, you're the best in the business. Ask questions. And remember, we're listening for needs language. Final things that I want you to take away: the power of why. The power of why. Why equals buy. Facts tell, stories sell. Soak them in the potential pain. And then finally, productivity, performance, and profit. These are the things that we focus on.
I don't necessarily buy into this, but it's something to consider, that people only have 3 reasons for buying things. It's either a need, a want, or a fear. And Charles talked about burying them in fear to make them want to buy, like what will happen if they don't hire you? you know, that's your call if you do that or not. I'm not saying that I haven't done something along the same line, but if you identify the product, the service, what you're selling, I've heard it said many times before, and it's probably right. Do you guys know what evolution is? It's where you adapt. It's where a species adapts to a changing environment or they become extinct. And it happens. And it happens to us too. We either adapt to what's happening or we don't exist anymore. A couple years ago, I'm out filming a wedding and I run into this old-time photographer, master photographer, brilliant, talented artist. And we're talking a little bit at the wedding. He says, John, I don't know what's happening. He says, I was doing 100 weddings a year for the last 20 years. 2 years ago, it dropped to 50. Last year, it dropped to 25. He goes, I only have 2 weddings scheduled the rest of the year. He goes, and I haven't done anything different. I don't know what's happening. Later that afternoon, I was shooting my second wedding of the day, and I'm working with 2 young photographers. They're in their 20s. They're wearing heels on the job, which always tells me they haven't had a lot of experience yet. They're using what we call kit cameras. They just have the stock lens on it and an on-camera flash. Not an expensive investment. And I can also tell by watching them, they're not really seasoned or highly trained. Hi, I'm John, GodfatherFilms, nice to meet you. How's your day going? She goes, oh gosh, we are so busy. We've got over 200 weddings booked this year. How are you getting your weddings? She goes, oh, we're all Facebook. We'll shoot a wedding and we'll post the pictures that night and we'll send the links to them for free. So here comes Facebook, which is relatively new in the business environment. They've adapted and they're excelling. And my poor friend that didn't see the need to adapt, he just doesn't have any business at all. So we're up to our last one, and I cannot say enough about Sunny from Wedding Wire. Sunny is brilliant. How many people do you run into the planet that are that advanced when it comes to technology, smart computer geek guy who understands how everything on the planet works except a piano and can explain it to everybody? So in order to survive in this current market, we have to be dialed in with social media. And it's a lot to learn, and it's constantly changing. This is the most brilliant thing I've ever seen in a wedding industry convention, 12 steps of what you need to do to build your business.
What I want to walk through is 12 things that across social media sites that I think are important. So the first is to pick your channels. I usually say Facebook +2. And that simply means that you have to be on Facebook, and +2 means I want you to pick 2 others that you do really well. So number 2, social media is not a popularity contest. The point is, if you share something with 500,000 people and nobody talks about it, doesn't matter. If you share something with 5 people and they share it 5 times, you now have made an impact. So number 3 is frequency. So typically on Facebook, we're posting a couple times a day. I think once a day makes a lot of sense, even if you do it a couple times a day, but you want to make sure that you're not doing it too frequently because you will start to lose your captive audience. Number 4 is try to pull. Often, it's very easy for us to just push, and that simply means push messages. What pull means is asking questions, trying to get conversation flowing the other way. Number 5 is stay positive. And you should say that that glass is half full versus half empty. It actually goes 7 times further. People don't like to share things that are negative. Number 6 is share your story. We tend to focus on the final result, and social media is an amazing channel for you to say, I'm an expert at what I do, and it's not just the final result. Look at all the steps and where I add value every step of the way. Number 7 is be concise. The shorter you can be, the more concise you can be, the more activity, the more shares you will see. Number 8 is get visual. And that simply means that we need to make sure that what you're sharing isn't text. Sharing photos, sharing infographics, sharing different designs. Next is video. We've talked about video, but a lot of social networks have been starting to place a lot more emphasis on video. If you look at Facebook on mobile, you will see many more videos in your newsfeed. Facebook's algorithm actually learns from what you look at. So if you stop and start to look at videos and you slow down, they will start to serve you more video over time. Number 10 is showcase personality. And that simply means that your website is about your business. It's about your prices, it's about contacting you. I think social media is all about who you are. It's about showcasing that you're unique and you're different than everybody else in your category. Number 11 is build relationships. And I think it's really important when we think about social media that it's not seen as this equation, which is it's not about trying to drive revenue. The goal of social media is to build stronger relationships with your customers. And then 12 is very simple, play it well. And I always like this reference when I think about social media. And so, anybody know how much this piano costs? If Sonny were to buy this piano and put it in his house, it would look great. It would cost me $100,000 and it would be worth $0 because I don't know how to play the piano. Or it could be Billy Joel buying the same piano and it would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars as the piano man. Social media is the exact same thing. Social media is an instrument and it's all about how you play that instrument.
You can watch and share the opening film at weddingmba2014.com. Hopefully I brought you things that you could really use and keep. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you around. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Godfather Films, Mr. John Goolsby.